Thank you, Simon, and thank you all of you for inviting DTCC to come to the QED today. I want to just mention how happy I am and how proud we are as a company to be a sponsor of this QED conference on such an interesting topic. Dialogue and debate among the financial industry stakeholders worldwide has and always will be a crucial part of our efforts to build a harmonized and efficient regulatory environment. In fact, there is a collective understanding that in a globalized world, regulation is more effective if the core is based upon dialogue, trust, and collaboration on internationally agreed standards. All of us face unique and complex challenges as we work to implement the new financial rules within the context of the G20 commitments. So it is critical that we share our perspectives if we are to find common solutions to our challenges. Let's see if I can get this to work. As all of you are aware, financial market infrastructures like DTCC face many new challenges and responsibilities in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis and the G20 Pittsburgh Summit. This period of transformation is creating both opportunities and challenges for the future, particularly in the OTC derivatives market. Today, I'd like to share with you DTCC's experience over the past several years in developing trade repositories to help bring greater transparency to the global marketplace, and how these efforts are helping regulators achieve one of the three pillars of the G20 commitments. I'd like to focus on essentially 3 points today. I'll quickly roll back the clock and discuss the role of trade repositories in the post-financial era. Second, I'll recount some of the key lessons learned regarding market transparency. And finally, I'll discuss how the evolution of jurisdictional reporting mandates have complicated efforts to achieve the level of market transparency that was envisioned by the G20. Let me begin with the first point regarding the role of trade repositories, particularly as it relates to the financial crisis and the demise of Lehman Brothers. Over the past 5 years, policymakers and market participants have concentrated their efforts on reshaping markets to better identify, manage, absorb, and ideally prevent systemic shocks to the financial system. This has led to an emphasis on the development of tools and resources for detecting activities that could create financial instability, such as excessive risk-taking, risk concentration, and market manipulation. Trade repositories have become a critical component of these efforts. DTCC has been a pioneer of development and implementation of trade repositories at a cost of over $200 million to support these G20 repository commitments, which greatly expanded global reporting obligations. Turning to my second point, above all, the crisis of 2008-2009 reinforced the management axiom, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. It has taught us that data transparency is critical, but that transparency is only achievable if the underlying data is complete and accurate. And it demonstrated that the most effective way to ensure data accuracy and completeness is to establish a central global trade repository per asset class to aggregate data on a global scale. It also taught us, among other things, that regulators and market participants want and need timely access to detailed, accurate data on global derivatives activity so they can identify significant risk exposures and respond appropriately. I believe the G20 commitment to OTC reporting reflects the lessons learned from the failure of Lehman. Moreover, at DTCC, these lessons prompted us to develop the Global Trade Repository that would allow the industry to meet new regulatory reporting requirements in an efficient and safe manner, while at the same time providing a single point of access for global market regulators. This model, depicted in the graphic here, also allows the market participants to leverage a single solution to fulfill their multi-jurisdictional reporting obligations. Today, we provide repository services in the European Union, the US, Singapore, Japan, and Australia. And we continue to work closely with other key markets, such as Hong Kong and others, to enhance market transparency through trade reporting. Nevertheless, a combination of factors, including regulatory divergence and the sheer operational complexity of the global reporting obligation, has led to a much different reality than the one depicted in the graphic behind me. This graphic depicts the current and regulatory reality. So how did we arrive here? Let me turn to my third point and talk about the evolution of reporting requirements and the factors that have complicated the efforts to achieve the level of market transparency that was envisioned by the G20. Global jurisdictions have implemented these reforms in different ways. This has led to divergent jurisdictional rules that are complicating industry efforts to achieve transparency while driving up the cost of compliance for market participants. As the graphic behind me clearly demonstrates, the current reality sees additional complexities and costs being driven into the system, which in some cases make it difficult for market participants to efficiently satisfy their reporting obligations. Among the many contributing factors to that reality is regulatory nationalism, shifting and overlapping compliance dates, jurisdiction-specific infrastructure requirements, and the overall impact of commercialization of the trade repository function. Collectively, these factors are leading to a proliferation of local and regional trade repositories, which is fragmenting the global data set and leading to less transparent markets. To complicate matters further, the ongoing differences in data standards, privacy laws, and data access and sharing requirements across jurisdictions are complicating efforts to aggregate this data and provide appropriate access to regulators. Ultimately, these factors may prevent regulators and the public from obtaining the holistic view of the marketplace and rob them of a valuable tool in the indemnification and mitigation of exposures developing in the system. Over time, we believe that market conditions will lead to a consolidation of trade repository service providers. But it is nevertheless critical that we find solutions to the issues of regulatory divergence currently afflicting the global transaction reporting. In closing, there are significant challenges that the industry faces in achieving our common goal of enhancing transparency in the OTC derivatives marketplace. But it's not all gloom. I agree with a number of the speakers today. The role of the global bodies such as the FSB, IOSCO, CPS, among others, is crucial and should continue. It is essential in the months ahead that these bodies continue to work together to find common ground, which will allow us to overcome these obstacles and ensure long-term stability and integrity of the global financial system. I can tell you all from the many meetings that I've had in the US, Europe, and Asia, that regulators and lawmakers, despite the differences of opinion, they recognize the importance of working together to achieve regulatory convergence and the overall goals of the G20. And I would be remiss not to highlight the important work that is being done by industry associations such as the FIA and regulatory working groups to address cross-border issues such as equivalence, data aggregation, and access, to name a few. In closing, I want to thank you again for your attention, and I look forward to hearing the thoughts of my fellow panelists and the audience on these and other topics. Thank you.